mine this block, and I was like, yes! I just mined the very first block of Ethereum. Oh, and now it got the fifth one. I also got the fifth one, and he said, oh, Ethereum just started. I didn't know that. And you just mined the first one while having a meeting with me. And I was like, yeah. I've been programming since the age of 5. I left home and became homeless by choice.
Then were your parents like, how was their reaction?
My mom got completely freaked out because I left a note on my table. We started using Bitcoin for day-to-day payments and transactions within the community.
Which year was that?
So this was end of 2010, early 2011. So I would just go to a bar and say, hey, do you accept Bitcoins? And they're like, oh, what's that? Well, it's digital money.
You founded the first Bitcoin exchange in Hungary.
We created a website called Instacoins where you just enter, your name, phone number, email address.
So hey everyone, welcome back to the aVIRAL podcast, and today we have Barney with us. And I would like you to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Barnabas, and I don't know how I would introduce myself. I'm posthumanism, optimist, tech entrepreneur, coming with a software engineering background, but I also value a lot of the human aspect of life.
How would you describe your early life or your childhood? Were you a very serious student or
I was serious and not serious at the same time. So I was very serious with the things that interested me, and I didn't care at all about the subjects that I didn't like or I didn't find useful or so I was really into math, for example, and I don't know, already in I was 14, I was already studying first year university math.
Okay.
But I was failing in literature class and biology, and I had to repeat my second high school year of that. Okay, because of that. So I was selective in what I spend my time with at school. So I wasn't necessarily the teacher's favorites. For some teachers, yes. For most of the teachers, no.
Got it. And where were you born?
Yeah, I was born in Budapest, Hungary, and I spent 5 years in Algeria. And my father was teaching at the University of Oran. He was teaching physics, being Arabic language, I think, maybe French, but probably mostly Arabic. I don't remember that.
Yeah, so he taught you some Arabic as well, or?
I picked it up in school, but I then forgot it when we got back to Hungary.
Okay, and then how was your university life? Were you in Budapest or?
Yeah, that was in Budapest. Yeah. So after high school, I really enjoyed. Okay, no more studying. Let's go. Let's go to work. And yeah, I did programming for 1 year, and then figured out, okay, I don't want to work. I just want to go back. And studying is really cool. And so I went for computer science and at the University of Technology of Budapest, but then dropped out after 2 years.
Okay, why?
I've been programming since the age of 5, and the university had. So I have all my childhood friends in that class, and that was really good. And there was a really good community, and we still are in contact, and we have these meetings every year, multiple times a year. So whenever I go back to Hungary, we meet, and the community was great, and I loved the parties and everything. But in terms of computer science, I didn't feel we had so many other subjects, so 80% of my time learning, I didn't have a use for it, and I thought it's a waste of time studying stuff that I will never need.
Yeah.
And the stuff I already know, programming, and designing computer systems and digital systems, the stuff that I'm interested in. I am already ahead of my class, so I checked out fifth year classes where it was also like, okay, I know this. And so I got less and less interested in other subjects and failed some subjects and just dropped out and didn't care and then went on continuing just learning more about programming.
Yeah.
And the 80% of my time that I just saved by not going to university, I got even better at programming and also with entrepreneurship and things like that.
Got it. Also, like, who introduced you to programming? Because you mentioned you started like coding at 5. So, like, yeah.
So I had a really good friend who was from Macedonia, and he was also very good at maps, and his I think his father. I had books, so we both had Commodore 64s.
Okay.
And we started programming together, and I think his dad showed us the first few tricks.
Got it. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, because like you had early access to all of that tech, and then that basically got you all into programming and coding, and so yeah, that would.
Yeah, I was really lucky. So my dad bought a Commodore 64 back then in the early 80s, and for his work at university, but me and my brothers use it for gaming and programming.
And then after university, like when you dropped out, so did you get a job, or like you were working on yourself, or you started a business?
It was first I did some consulting, and then so already in high school I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I had a job or two, and maybe I did also some consulting work, but I was mostly interested in building something, or building a business, or building products or services that people use, and but I didn't know where to learn that. I didn't have any mentors. I was looking for mentors, but I didn't have any, so I decided to do the hard way. So I left home.
Okay.
And became homeless by choice.
Okay.
And
which year was this? Do you remember? Like,
so this was 2000. I was 21 or 22, basically right after dropping out of university.
Okay.
So I went homeless because I figured out if I can. Entrepreneurship is about being resourceful and finding your way, and figure out how to solve hard problems. So, but also it was summer, so it was easy. I mean, it was June, so you could, I could easily sleep on the street. So first it was park bench, then park under the tree on the other side of Budapest.
But then were your parents like, how was their reaction?
My mom got completely freaked out because I left a note on my table and packed and
were there mobile phones?
Yeah, I already had like this Nokia 5110, something like that. That everyone had back then. And she called me and she said, "What's that? I just found your letter." Yeah.
Okay. So, like, what next? You were kind of figuring out what to do next, and then, so, like, what was your next move?
Yeah. So, you mean on the street or?
No. Yeah. After that.
After that, so that was only 1 week long. I didn't know that in advance, but
and then you went back home?
no. I found so I had no money. So maybe to give some context. So what happened is that first day I got really hungry. So in Hungary you have these Hare Krishna guys asking for money. And they cook for the homeless, and the guy is asking money, and I say, oh, I don't have money, and I just became homeless, and I'm really hungry, and like, can I get some of your food? And he said, oh yeah, you go this way, that way, and yeah, it was really close, so I walked there. So I ate there.
Okay.
And I was looking for flats. I didn't have money, so I was looking for the cheap ones, which means the parts of the city you don't want to live in, with all the drug dealers and addicts, and I went on to see a few apartments and with like rent a room, but you had to pay 2 months up front, which I didn't have the money. So so in the end, I ended up meeting someone who was in front of my mom's, and we had a lunch together, and he said, why are you, that was a very good piece of advice from him. I told him I'm trying to find my way and try to find a place to live, and he asked me where are you looking for, and then I told him where I was looking for, and he said, is that the kind of environment you want to live in? Because the kind of people you are surrounded with, that's the kind of people you will become. And that turned out to be a very, very good piece of advice. And he asked me, where do you want to live? And I said, on the Buda side. So Budapest has two sides. Pest is like more city. Buda is like green hills and more like houses and with big gardens, but obviously more expensive. And I said, well, I want to live in the green hills, obviously. So he said, yeah, why don't you find something there? And he said, I said, well, that's super expensive. I don't have any money. And so he left by saying, that's your mind is blocking you from just let that go and try to find your place where you want to be. So instead of sleeping on the streets of Pest, I went on the other side, and I slept below a tree in one of the parks on the Buda side. And then one day, so this was the 5th day or 6th day, I wake up, a dog is licking my face, and there's a friend, a good friend of mine, says, hey, why are you having a nap here? Or like, he was walking his dog and it turns out he was living nearby, and so we start walking. I tell him the story, and he says, oh, I'm living in a house, and there's this guy who owns this house, and there are like 4 free rooms, and I am sure he would rent one of them for you. So my basement neighbor became this really good friend who I already knew. I became really good friends with the landlord, who had almost the same age as me. And I rented a room, and I told him, hey, I don't have any money, but I will figure this out, and but I'm very good at solving problems. So you let me know what problem you have right now, and I solve it for you. Whatever, fix the roof. And he said, well, do you know a good software engineer? Because I'm looking for one. We have this project with my dad, and I'm looking, if you know someone who's a good software engineer, please introduce me. And I'm like, well, I can code. It's like, okay, you're hired. You don't have to pay for rent, and you get the salary. And I was like, okay, good. Deal done.
That was smooth.
That's went really smooth.
Then what next? What you worked on for that project?
So we were his father was founding a church, and they needed a website, and and it was like, okay, your father is founding a church, and I thought, okay, that's good. I also want my own religion. That's really good. That's fun. So we were building the website for his dad's thing.
Got it. So how long did this go, and then?
I think this went on for, I don't know, between 1 and 3 years, something like that, and then and then I started to just experiment with things and build things and build and failed and build and fail. And then when I didn't have money, I did some consulting, programming, and then and then did some trading on the Australian options market. I did a trading course. So I was trading options for, I don't know, many years, between maybe 2007 and 2010.
Oh, okay. Got it. And then you also searched around biointensive farming, something like that.
Yes, that was after the 2008 crash.
Crisis. Okay.
So I was in this like a trading club, and so the movie The Big Short.
Yes.
So we lived that in that club, like, why is everything still going up? And we were shorting, and people were like over leveraged, and still the market was going up, but it doesn't make any sense. And we were helping each other with money, guys, does someone have, I don't know, $5,000? I will lose my house if.
So you guys were shorting?
We were shorting, yes, but it was keeping on going up and up and up, and then suddenly it crashed, and some people made good money. I just got back my original money plus 10% because my positions were killed. But I was still keeping on shorting, and then in the end, the last trade made back all of the losses plus 10%. So, but it was like, okay, this was interesting, but no, things will go probably in a really bad direction. So, with some people from the trading club and other friends, we started this community in the northeastern part of Hungary in the mountains, and it first started as a kind of a prepping village, or so someone had land there, and the end goal was to have our own community and village, but we only got one land, one piece of land, and we learned. So first thing, what do you eat? So we learned how to do this biointensive farming by John Jevons, and we used our own internal currency, which was a LED-based system.
Okay.
Which means it works well in a small community. So I don't know.
Which currency was that like?
So we called it green box or something like that. It doesn't matter, but the whole thing, the way it works, is a zero-sum game. So you come to me, you buy my potatoes, I go plus 10, and you go minus 10.
Okay.
And then tomorrow I go to you and saying, hey, can you do, I don't know, let's say you're the barber, and can you do my
or something, yeah.
And then I give you 20, and and so the whole community, like, it balances out. And it doesn't work in an environment where an outsider comes in, buys something, and then leaves the community, because they live with a negative balance. And so what eventually happened is that we had, there was a software for that, and we used that, and we had an internal market.
Got it.
And a lot of people just started signing up, and we were only with the extended family and friends were like 20, 30 people. And after 1 month, we had like 200 users. Like, who are these people? Like, and 300, 500. Like, okay, so we need something else. This doesn't work. And that's when a friend of mine found Bitcoin. Like, oh, I know a digital currency that is not fiat, it's not government backed, it's decentralized, and we should just use that. So we started using Bitcoin for day-to-day payments and transactions within the community.
Which year was that?
So this was end of 2010, early 2011. That's when we started transacting. And
But then what was the initial reason of you like before Bitcoin, you did something on your own, right? Like through 2, 3, 500 people of your community. So what was the initial reason of not using euros or the actual currency, but then create?
So after the 2009 crisis, we thought that the world will fall apart.
Oh, okay.
Which it is doing now. We just didn't have the timeline. Like, it's very hard to predict when it will fall apart, but that was one point where it could have fallen apart, but it didn't. There was global recession, but it didn't fall up. Like, the world order remained the same afterwards. And so we didn't want to rely on any government currency.
Got it.
That's why we wanted to have our own currency. And so we also found Ripple, but not the current one, but there was a site called ripple.com, the centralized one. Most people don't know, but it was, so the whole concept of Ripple started on a Web2 centralized website, and they made it a decentralized network years later. And so we use Ripple a bit, the non-decentralized version, and then my friend found Bitcoin.
So it was something like many people were kind of figuring out at that time how they can fuck fiat and then use something like a decentralized currency kind of thing. And then so like how was your experience using Bitcoin? And then how like were there hardware wallets that you had?
No, nothing. I had to install Windows to use it. It was Windows only, and then someone came along and made a Linux version, and then eventually and then there was a Bitcoin Qt, and then we started working on Macs as well. And then like the first mobile wallets, they came years later. Like first hardware wallet, I think it was years after 2020. I think the first hardware wallet came after the Mt. Gox collapse. So back then,
everything online, like
everything was on. Like that was the only trade. Like 80% of the global Bitcoin trading volume was on Mt. Gox.
Okay.
And 20% was peer-to-peer. And then Mt. Gox collapsed, and that gave birth to, we need, and there were also many hacks. Like back then it was only wallet.dat, and then first it was one address, then it was, you shouldn't reuse your address because there are potential attack vectors. Then it was multiple wallets, but then your wallet.dat grew, and there were many hacks, and it was very hard to
keep it safe
and back it up. So that, and after those first kinds of hacks and like desktop like malware hacks, came the deterministic wallets, like HD wallets. So you have 12 words and then later 24 words, and so you could write down those 12 words, and then you could have an infinite amount of receiving addresses. And then there was, and then even more malware came that would go for your wallet, even with having the 12 words. So then came the hardware wallets, and then there was the Mt. Gox crash, and then that gave birth to, I don't even remember, maybe multisig or, so there was always there was a crisis, and then the community solved it. Yeah, and there was a learning, and all of these crises, people lost money, and then Bitcoin became more and more resilient.
Yes. So in that Mount Gox, when it crashed, you also had some money there, or like you?
No, I got out a year earlier. I saw the signs of the collapse, like withdrawals taking days, then weeks, and then it was like, okay,
Got it.
withdraw everything, and my last withdrawal took like a month.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay, I got my money, and then a year later they stopped withdrawals,
Got it.
and so people would still, you could buy empty Gox bitcoins, because people thought that okay, at some point they will fix it, so you could buy them at a discount and exchange your empty Gox coins for outside coins, and there was a market for that. And
Got it.
but then it turned out that there was this transaction malleability thing, and their wallets got drained slowly. And when they realized that, they slowed down the withdrawals and then completely stopped it because they didn't have enough bitcoins to back they didn't have the access to back the liabilities.
Yeah. But then recently, I think some of them were found, right? Like 90,000 bitcoins or something.
Yeah, but way more were lost. I mean, it was like 600,000 bitcoins or something like that. So some of the empty Gox coins were found. I don't know how many exactly, and they are in the process of repaying them now, I think, something like that. But it's and I think it's not the Bitcoin amount; it's the dollar amount back then.
Oh, okay.
And so if you had $1,000 back then in Bitcoin, which probably meant 10 Bitcoins, then you would get $1,000 now, which is not 10 Bitcoins. I think that's how. But I'm not sure. I'm not an empty Gox victim, so I don't know how it works exactly. But I know that way more Bitcoins were missing than they found.
Got it. And then, what was more? How were people actually using Bitcoin in order to trade? And then, what other examples do you remember of in which people? Because Silk Road was also there, which initially turned out to be bad, and then things happened there. So were there more such marketplaces in which people used Bitcoin?
So there was so the first few years people really use it as money, and Silk Road was one of the first killer app of Bitcoin. But the first few years it was Bitcoin is money. So let's use it. And the transaction fees were like either free or very low. In the first few years, it was free. Like the blocks were in full. And there was this soft cap on it to prevent spam transactions, which later turned up to be it led up to the block size wars a few years later. But I remember in the first few years, everyone was using it as money. We were just evangelizing it. So I would just go to a bar and say, hey, do you accept Bitcoins? And they're like, what's that? Well, it's digital money. You download this app. And I think we were using Bread Wallet mostly. That was really good back then. It got rebranded to BRD, and then Coinbase bought it, and the team merged into Coinbase Wallet, into the Coinbase Wallet team. And so Bread Wallet was really cool. It was really, really easy to use. You downloaded it, and so you tell the bar owner, hey, download this app. Yeah, and now show me your QR code.
Okay.
Click, and then there you go. And everyone was like, I like this new type of money. And so that's how, and there were many, so the people working on the protocols worked a lot on making it ready for
Major adoption.
for commerce and in-store payments, and there was a lot of developing around that.
Got it.
And that was the time, so BitPay came, which was probably, I don't know the first, but the first big player. that let you accept Bitcoins. I think first online and then on tablets and phones, and they had like this merchant POS system with, I don't know, 72 payment requests, and like you could enter, this is the amount I want, and then you got this URL, and then you could pay, and so Bitcoin gained traction by people using it and transacting with it. And at some point there was, I don't know, like 300,000 merchants accepting Bitcoin. Even like Microsoft started accepting it, and like very big brands started accepting Bitcoin. And it was all built by the early people who were using it to transact.
Yes.
And then the blocks started to get full, and then came what is now history. This, okay, so is this for payments or is this to store wealth? And so you had these two communities, and on the surface it seemed like it's about whether you should hold it till death and use a Visa card to pay, or or Bitcoin should be money and it's a medium of exchange. But living through that, I think it was just nothing more than a fight for power and control over the protocol, and then there was this split.
Yes.
And the team that won had control over all of the channels, like media channels back then. So Bitcoin.org, Bitcoin Reddit, and had also BitcoinTalk.org, the three main Bitcoin-related forums where people used to discuss protocol changes. Those were in one hand.
So this was the fork, right? Like the fork that happened between Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So which side were you on? Like, what do you thought?
I came from the money side. I believe it's Bitcoin is money, and it should be used as money, and you should transact with it. And if you rely on the price going up because more people buy, but transacting with it is not encouraged, then that's nothing more than a Ponzi scheme. So if it's good money, you have to be able to spend it.
Absolutely.
And I think it was there were two communities. They split apart, and the Bitcoin brand stayed with the current folks who are in charge, and they own the channels. So this is religious for some people. I lived through it. I remember not being able to have a debate because those were censored, and there was no other forum to discuss, because the main forum where everyone was, these topics were banned, and it's all over. There's so many traces of that on the internet. Like I remember why I was banned from r/Bitcoin, just for asking a question that wasn't appropriate by the actual rules. I did participate in the conversation and seeing your answers and questions just disappearing and hidden and voted down, and the whole thing was manipulated, and I think they did well on that. I mean,
so there were like a group of folks who were kind of manipulating everything in there.
Yeah.
And also as you mentioned, like this bitcoin.org and then /Bitcoin on Reddit. So do we know who control that right now? Or?
Yeah, so bitcoin.org and r/Bitcoin and bitcointalk.org, that's there are two pseudonyms attached to those. So one is Famous, and then there is Cobra, and some people say it's the same person, some people say it's two people, but you can look it up.
Got it. I never like searched for this particular thing, but then
Yeah, there's a book about this. You can find it online. It's called The Hijacking of Bitcoin or something like that. It contains all the facts and the data and everything, and but it's very political and religious, so people still fight over it. It's like, oh no, we're over this.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin is gold camp won, and by the way, I don't think it won. I mean, Bitcoin is not gold because it's crashing with us right now.
Yes.
Together with the stock market. But if you look so it's a risk asset. It's considered as a risk asset. People sell their Bitcoins when they also sell their shares.
Yes.
And they go back into gold.
Yeah.
And if you look which cryptocurrencies did not crash that much, Monero, it just goes up together with gold. So Monero now, if you look at the chart, so based on the charts, the market decided that Monero is digital gold.
Okay.
That's printed on the charts. I'm not saying this is the market. So Bitcoin goes down, Monero goes up, gold goes up, stocks go down. Interesting.
Got it.
Bonds crashing, US dollar crashing, everything is crashing, gold, Monero up.
Got it. Yeah, that's how I think the manipulation has brought Bitcoin to at such a level, right? Otherwise, it could have been.
That's how I lived it. Other people may have different realities. This was my reality because I was coming from a payments first payments first era, and I think those people built out the ecosystem that then the new management inherited. And then if you see the curve of Bitcoin acceptance, it went from 300,000 down to below. So when it became really hard to transact on Bitcoin and really expensive, Bitcoin lost a majority of its merchants. So Microsoft dropping it, like the big brand, also the bars dropping it. Like I remember at my friend's bar, someone paid for I don't know, €3 beer, but with the transaction cost it was like 25, and he was complaining and like filed a complaint. And so they called me like, we don't understand how this could, like we only received €3 worth of, but the guy said it was, I don't know, 25, and like what this was in 2017 peak, like bull market, like full chain or full blocks. And so I go there, check their wallet, see the transaction. Oh yeah, €22 went to the miner. And so the owner said, yeah, we cannot do this because just when they stopped accepting Bitcoins and removed the Bitcoin, like we accept Bitcoin status. And so Bitcoin lost a lot of users. And I think this. I mean, there's a sad part to it because looking back, I would consider myself as a Bitcoin maximalist back in the day, but like the term came way later. But and not just me, everyone in the Bitcoin community, for that. Okay, we should. So this is the next money. This is the next financial network.
Yeah.
And the world should run on Bitcoin. And why have other currencies if this one works well? And then interestingly, the small blockers who later were renamed to Bitcoin maximalists, and I don't know how they call themselves now. Now you have Bitcoin rationalists, and like it's all of these factions. But what really led other altcoins or other networks to thrive was exactly the reason. Like Bitcoin maximalism says that you should have one coin and everything else is centralized and trash and a scam, and you should only use this. But if you can't use this, so the very people who restricted the on-chain use.
Yeah.
And came up with these reasons. Yeah, sometime we'll have Lightning Network work in the future. So let's just not spend our Bitcoins right now. They restricted Bitcoin. And that gave birth to everything else. If you could have more things run on Bitcoin, then Bitcoin would be the only network. But it was restricted, so people flocked to Ethereum, and now you have most of the DeFi, like I don't know, 80% of DeFi is on Ethereum or on one of its layer 2s, and then Solana, and then the others. And now there is a bit of like BTC-Fi is gaining traction. And finally, they arrived to the conclusion that, most of the Bitcoin people, okay, Lightning Network is just doesn't work. Let's do rollups, and that's good to see. Like, okay, Bitcoin trying to catch up, and the Bitcoin community trying to catch up, and now it's over. It's rollups and proof of stake and zero knowledge proofs, and I think if Bitcoin the on the protocol level, if it had a way to verify zero knowledge proofs on the layer 1 level, then without massive transaction costs, then it would lead to a massive boom in Bitcoin layer 2 ecosystem.
Currently, like they are doing in some centralized way, right? Like they have a layer on top of which they verify everything, and then they just put the proof on Bitcoin, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how they currently do that. But I am pretty sure it's either very expensive, or there's a fight, the OPCAT fight, like.
Yeah.
That, like, why is that even a thing?
Yeah,
it's like so. I'm pretty sure there is no zero knowledge proof verifying on the Bitcoin layer 1. I would bet my life on it. I'm not sure, but I would bet my life on. I would take that bet. And if you can do that, if you can verify what the upper level on what you have on the second layer, you can have 100% assurance on layer 1.
Yep.
Then you can trust the layer 2. If it's some mumbo jumbo magic, but in the end it's just a federated network of trusted, like liquid network. If it's just a federated network of gatekeepers, then that's just recreating the banking network.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it would be interesting to watch how this goes, and then some major improvements on the protocol level. Can be interesting to see.
There is I think there's this core something, so you can stake your Bitcoin and earn yields. And so it's not just a federated, like, 20 nodes, but I don't want to say anything stupid because I haven't looked deep into it. I just found it a few days ago.
Good.
But it seems to me that they are trying to achieve something like that. So like build a second layer where you have lots of nodes instead of just a federated like 10 or 20. And then if lots of nodes are verifying it, then that makes it more secure.
Yeah, I heard a bit about some of them like Babylon chain, and then some of them building L2s on top of Bitcoin, and then DeFi protocols as well. But then I also haven't like deep dived much into it. So
I haven't been following it myself too much because there's so much more in the huge universe to explore, and I just I was just hoping Bitcoin will be the one that is everywhere, and I really welcome all of the new developments, and it seems like I just see sometimes, people are talking about roll-ups on Bitcoin and layer 2, and okay, finally we'll, okay, drive chains, they came back, okay, good.
Yeah.
Let's have at least drive chains or something. Like, okay, people are figuring out that they don't need to stick to Lightning Network only. There are other ways, and that's good to see. And I really hope it takes up. And if it does, I will look into it more deeper, because it got me into this rabbit hole of crypto and everything. So I still love Bitcoin in my heart. It's just that I just have to spend it in an easy way. And I give Lightning Network also a chance every year. I download, like, I ask my friends, okay, which wallet do you recommend? Tell me the one that my mom could use and is non-custodial. Which one is the best one? And so the last one I tried last year was Breeze, and it was just nightmare.
I haven't used.
And I know Lightning works well if you have a custodial wallet, but then I would just trust Revolut more than random developers from somewhere. So, yeah.
Got it. But then you kind of also explored Ethereum, and then I got to know that the first, like, the Genesis block of Ethereum was mined by you, was mined by one of your, so.
I had only one rig.
Yeah. So, can you tell that story?
Yeah. So I wasn't really interested in Bitcoin mining. Apparently I should have, but we didn't even know the price will take off. So in 2011, in 2011 I saw it crashing from $32 to $3. I think that was was like, okay, this can go up really fast and go down really fast, but yeah, whatever, let's just keep using it. And then figuring out that, okay, this could be also an investment that came years later. But so I wasn't really interested in Bitcoin mining back then. And I regretted it, and so I wanted to learn how mining works. So I built a mining rig with 4 GPUs, and it was really loud, but produced heat for during winter in Budapest. It was in the office first. We had to open the windows because of the heat it generated in the room. It was, and it was so loud that we put it in another room. But I was mining on the test network.
Okay.
For, I don't know, at least, I don't know, half a year or more. And then when the developer said that, okay, we have, it is production ready now.
Yeah.
They said the mainnet will launch at this block height of the test network.
Yes.
And so here's the Genesis block. And you have to get the hash of that
testnet.
Testnet block, insert it into that file, and then run this script, and then run that script, and then run. I think it was. I think the client name was Aleph, or I don't even remember. Maybe it was before GETH, maybe it was GETH. I don't remember. But anyway, there were a few manual steps to do, and I was like, I just automate this. I just write bash script. So I did a few tests to see if it works. It really gets the block number, inserts, starts the client, and and then we approached the day, and I remember I was in the meeting and I had my computer open.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I was with a client, so we were already running the exchange, the Bitcoin exchange.
Yeah.
And I think I was with a client, and I was non-stop looking at, okay, I don't know, 100 more blocks, 99. I was like, 76. And
Yeah.
so we were talking in the meeting, and then I see that, okay, the zero, okay,
Yeah.
the thing starts, and then suddenly I was like, okay, you mine this block, and I was like,
Okay.
yes. And so the guy was like, I'm sorry, but what are you doing here? And I said, oh, my computer back in the office time, just logged into the SSH and console, and I just mined the very first block of Ethereum. Oh, and now it got the fifth one. I also got the fifth one. And he said, oh, Ethereum just started.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know that. And you just mined the first one while having a meeting with me. And I was like, yeah. Okay. So it was really fun, and I think it was only 3 GPUs, or like one was already burned by the testnet, so it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw that photo on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, also you told that story about how the person who mined the second block had.
Oh yeah. That was so. This is a 2018, I think, Bitcoin conference in Miami.
Okay.
So so there's this guy. So it was at the party, and we are drinking, and he's buying all these drinks for girls, and he has a massive mining operation, and he says, I was going for the Genesis block, but I only got the second. And then the girls were like, oh, you mined the second block. And I was like, no, that can be. Did you really mine the second block? And he shows me, and apparently he had hundreds of GPUs. And I said, hey, I mined the first one.
Okay.
And I was like, no. How many GPUs?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if 3 or 4, but anyway, yeah. This is my rig, and no. How did you do it? I mean, well, how did you do it? Well, it was described, you had to copy paste, as in, yeah, I didn't do that. I wrote a script, and that's it. Because the difficulty level, right? It starts at like the difficulty adjustment comes later, so it's really easy to mine
The mine blocks.
Yeah. The first few blocks are really easy to mine. So if you have the block, then it's like 2 seconds. So
Got it.
so, and if you take 5 seconds, if it takes 5 seconds for you to copy paste and do all that, then yeah, you just get the second one.
Got it. Yeah, that was a smart move to like write a script.
Yeah,
And then
but I thought everyone was doing that. I thought it's the way,
everyone should do it. Yeah.
I was pretty sure I would get like, I don't know, maybe the 20th or 100. Like there were already,
Considering the GPU power.
yeah, there were already thousands of GPUs on the testnet. So I thought, yeah, maybe I will get the 100th block. But yeah, it turned out I was lucky.
And also like it was proof of work back then. So like how much block size was that? Like the block reward.
So the block reward, I think it was 5 Ether, 5 ETH per block. Then that went down to 3 a bit later, I think. And you could also solo mine for the first few months. And then the pools appeared, and yeah.
Or the current rocket pool and things like that. So happened.
Yeah. Rocket Pool came way later. I think Rocket Pool only came with proof of stake. No.
Yeah. No, recently. Yeah.
So there was, I don't know, Nanopool, and yeah, I'm bad with remembering names. But then at some point it was like, yeah, I don't care. I mined a few blocks, and yeah, I got the first one. So that's
Yeah, that's it.
and that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think 2016, right? 2015.
2015.
July 2015. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was worthless back then.
Also, like, yeah, you were like, you founded the first Bitcoin exchange in Hungary, which was like, yeah. So how you got this idea of starting an exchange, and which year was that?
So the idea came from, it was really a market need. So people were asking, so Bitcoin had its first big run up and crash, and this was during the second run up, and so this is like late 2013, early 2014. There was already Bitstamp up and coming, and Coinbase up and coming. But for Europeans, it was mostly Bitstamp. So people would move from mostly from Antigox to Bitstamp, and so people asked, how do I buy Bitcoin? We're the Bitcoin guy, so how do I buy Bitcoin? And I said, well, you go to this website called bitstamp.net, you sign up, you do KYC, you do a photo of your passport, and but all of the edges, they have to see it, and then you go through this process, and then they verify you, and then that takes a few days or maybe 2 weeks, and then you wire money, and then make sure the ID they give you, you put it in the memo field, and then you go in, and then with market order, and this was the point, like, okay, no, that's too complicated, like, here's €100, can you buy it for me? And do you have a Bitstamp account? Yeah. Can you buy it for me? Yeah, sure. And then after the 10th people was like, okay, this is too much. Yeah, can you buy it for me? We created a website called Instacoins, where you have my brother, where you just enter, your name, phone number, email address, and for how many forints, which is Hungarian currency, or euro, you want to buy. It was just a plain website, and it would save the orders in a database. And then we would get an email and then manually buy it on the exchange and send it out. And it was just a pure form, like gray and white. And then it started to take off. Like people were giving it out to each other, like, oh, this is really easy and to use, and so sometimes I had my phone was beeping, and okay, I have to pull over my car, get my computer, okay, log into this, send out, and then keep records for bookkeeping. Our accountant just hated us, and it took, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, sometimes a bit more, to just go through the whole process and document it, and then send it out, and then send the email. And so we started automating it, and then at some point it was automatic, and we also had to rebrand it because there was a Canadian company doing the same with the same name. So so we rebranded it to Mr. Coin, and it became colorful, but we kept the simplicity for all the 8 years that we were running it. So to this day, if you go to mrcoin.eu, I don't know if the new order owners still have it up and running, but and if they kept the same design and workings, but there is no account. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to. You just enter your phone number, email, the amount, and then your receiving address, and then that's it. And yes, you have to do KYC now if you don't have it already. And but if you already did KYC, it's same process. You get a text message for verification, and internally there is an account, but from the user perspective, it's just a seamless flow, and it's really easy and fast to buy crypto there. So
and then what do you think about the current scenario which is going on, like Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy buying so many Bitcoins every week or every month, and then institutions buying Bitcoin? So this is going towards the asset class. So what's your take on that?
Well, first of all, good for them. I mean, if they have money to buy so much Bitcoins, great. I'm glad they can do that. But I also think it's a risk. So the whole thing, like if you have a few major players having control over a majority of the bitcoins, then it's the same scenario as with proof of stake, except that there are a few differences, but still, if you simplify it down, so what's interesting about this, I think, is that if in between 2015 and 2017, if you said corporations shouldn't have control over Bitcoin, the community has to have control over Bitcoin. If you said that back then, and now you're simping Michael Saylor and BlackRock, then you have this massive cognitive dissonance, and you should see a therapist because you're just recreating what you were fighting against 10 years ago. So it can, especially if governments start buying Bitcoin, they may be the last, so, when there are these rallies, it's always the smart investors dumping on retail, right? So, and by now, I think we exhausted most of the retail market, and so many people got burned, not just with shitcoins or altcoins or other layer one proper networks that are not scams. And I think there's 98% is junk, obviously, but there are 2% of networks that are outside of Bitcoin that I think are worth looking at or mentioning or building on. And so people got burned, scam coins, but also lots of people got burned with Bitcoin because they buy at the top and then it crashes and they can't handle it and they sell it at a loss. And by now, we kind of burned through retail. And so next step is, so who's going to buy your Bitcoins? Who are you going to dump on? So now you're going to dump on Michael Saylor and big corporations, and then next you will dump on governments. And then who's left? I mean, it's a Ponzi scheme now. If BTCFi doesn't come up and save Bitcoin and make it usable, and there's a thriving ecosystem for you to use Bitcoin, then that could save Bitcoin. But if it still remains hodl never sell, but in secret they always sell and then buy back when it's crashed. It's just a Ponzi scheme, and then the governments will be the last ones to buy, and then we will have to find life on Mars, or I don't know, somewhere. Someone just please buy my bags. So I think it's a double-edged sword. First, it gives legitimacy, obviously, which is great, and it also gives legitimacy to the whole industry. And no, I don't think it's Bitcoin versus crypto. It's all one thing. And there's a really good talk from Eric Borges on, I don't remember which conference, but what's the name of the talk?
We can check that. Eric Borges, he's currently working on this AI agent project known as Venice.
I saw that. There is a website for it. It's a really, really good talk, and he basically makes a case of we're in this together. It's not about Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus Solana versus meme coins. It's about removing corruption and middlemen, and it's about making finances accessible to everyone and making it transparent, and just give people a chance who are not within the bubble of the this either North Atlantic or Western world of we kind of have a working financial system, maybe, or like there are some countries that have well-established financial network, but if you want something global that works for everyone and where everyone has the same chance, if a teenager from Madagascar has the same chance of in DeFi and loans and repos and custom-made financial instruments, they have the same power than JP Morgan. Then that's great, because that's what we're right? Yeah. So if they can compete and it levels out the playing field, right? So yes, well, JP Morgan has more power because I can hire more programmers, and they have more resources to allocate to build something.
Yes.
But also maybe the next digital gold or whatever flat coin will be invented by, I don't know, 3 people around the world who never met. They probably don't even know who's who, and that doesn't even matter. But they have all these building blocks to create new financial system or instrument, or and we can also already see in DeFi that there are a lot of new, like there is a lot of experimentation, and there are a lot of new types of financial instruments that didn't exist before.
Absolutely. Like staking, and then yield, and then liquid staking, and then
and I just got lots of liquid risk taking. Thank you. And just
but the restaking concept was good, like the one done by Eigenlayer. Like you are kind of using the existing network to then build other networks on top of it, and then
it's kind of like merged mining worked with Bitcoin. So there were other networks piggybacking on Bitcoin's hash power.
A lot. So a lot of talk on the crypto world, and then moving a bit to now we are here in the network school right now, and then there are so many crypto enthusiasts here as well, and so after the decentralized currency, we are looking for decentralized societies and spaces, and in that, like network school and network state is kind of in the forefront to some extent. And then so what do you think of these pop-up cities and then network states emerging up?
I'm a big supporter of pop-up cities and charter cities, and like we had our own mini version back then with the mini farm that then I think after 1.5 years it's just we had the same we had different goals, but the way to get there at that point in time it was to get together, and but I didn't have this concept back then of like network states or I don't know, charter cities or but with the rise of crypto, and then also the world, the existing world order slowly decomposing, and then decomposing faster and faster, and also seeing the crypto community getting built from the ground up, not top down. I envision this. I even wrote, I think, an article in Forbes back in 2019 about you have this parallel economy that is built from the ground up, that is small now, but it will at some point compete with nation states.
Yes.
And there will probably be multiple economies, and central banks at some point will have to compete with their currency, and nation states will have to compete with crypto, because it's if you have so let's say you're the central bank and you're trying to keep this balance of get the amount of output and goods produced. You have to match the amount of money that is out there, and it is a very delicate balance. And if it spirals into deflation, it's bad. If it spirals into inflation, it's bad. And then the central bank has some type of control over that, and they are losing that sort of control more and more, as we see today with the trade wars. And it also loses control if the economy starts to shift towards crypto, because they can't control so they will have to factor in the amount of money that is in the crypto economy, and add it up to the whole economy, and then make a decision based on that. So already on if you go to Fred, the Fed's data analysis platform, you can already put Bitcoin prices on the charts, and which is really cool. So that is a signal that they are already kind of calculating with that, or at least they are watching or monitoring it. And now we're at the point where it's just everything, like the existing world order that we were living in for 7 or 8 decades, is just decomposing at the speed of light, and people want to opt out, and there are so many charter cities or private cities or just communities, and people who want to build them, existing ones, and people who want to build new ones. And here at Network School, I think what's really attractive here for people is that to learn how to build the future of society. So if you were to redesign society from scratch, and you would redesign it for the 21st century or the 22nd, how would you do that? And I think that's very important, because we're going now towards decentralization again, with countries potentially breaking up, big alliances potentially breaking up. I can easily see or foresee or I don't know if I would bet on it, but there is a chance for NATO to break up, or at least, I don't know, for the US to leave NATO, or the EU to break up, or break into two separate, like Western European Union and Eastern European Union, or also, who knows what will happen if so Putin is old, he's not going to live forever. What happens if he dies? Who takes over? Will his successor be able to keep Russia together, or will it fall apart like the Soviet Union did back then? And then suddenly you have, I don't know how many new states forming. Same for China. They have this very strong ideology of one China. But as we've seen from history, it wasn't always the case, and now it's strong and united. I mean, it looks like from the outside, but if you talk, if you listen to the news, you listen to their leaders speaking, and you talk to Chinese people, then you see it's also very fragile. So yeah, and I think we're going towards maybe more states again, and the fragmentation of nation states, and I think people should have the option to either opt out or opt into another, or create their own version, whether physical or digital or online or both, or history is running in reverse, as Balaji said, right? So it's and we have all the tools now. So crypto is one tool, and by crypto I don't mean holding Bitcoin or holding Ether and hoping for the price to go up. By crypto I mean zero knowledge proof of identity with digital passports, where you authenticate yourself without giving out your copy of your passport.
Yes.
Having zero knowledge proof based polls or voting, or like you could experiment with other forms of governance.
Like DAOs and things which are coming.
With DAOs or liquid democracy. Like there's all sorts of ways to do it, and democracy is one way and autocracy is one way, but I think we now have the tools to experiment with hundreds or thousands of different other governance systems or ideas, and 98% will fail, but if we get 2%, something new comes out from it.
Yes.
Like we haven't changed our governance systems for thousands of years, right? Yes. We only use the same 3, 4, 5 types of governance, and now DAOs are experimenting with all sorts of governance systems, and a lot of them fail, and that's okay, because that's how we learn. It's a Cambrian explosion of money and finance and governance and everything. So we got these building blocks based on cryptography, and we can experiment with all sorts of money and financial instruments and governance and who knows what else, like identity and reputation and so much more. And
then with AI coming up as well, it would and
for AI agents, crypto is native. Yes. I remember I had this talk, I don't know, like 20, this is like really old, so this was I think during 2017, 2018. I had this picture of Kit, the car from Knight Rider, this car that could self-drive and talk. This was a series in the 80s with David Hasselhoff, and it was a Pontiac Firebird Transom, and I really loved that series, so I also bought a Pontiac Firebird Transom later in my life. And so I gave this talk at this conference, and I had this slide with Kit, this self-driving car from the 80s, saying that, and I think it was at a banking conference, so I was the weird crypto guy talking nonsense, and so I told them, soon we'll have self-driving working, and your car will be able to earn money for you while you sleep. So your car will go out, get drunk people home from parties. Those people will pay for the service, and then if the sensor it senses that someone vomited in your car, and you just go and ask for washing, and then it will go and charge itself up with electricity, and then it will pay for it. And so there's bankers all over the place, and then I say, so the car For the car, it's so it's an autonomous agent and self-driving car, and crypto is purely digital. So the car will have a crypto wallet, and that's how it will work. Or is there anyone here who would open a bank account for a car? So raise your hands if you would open. So how would KYC look like for a car? And so everyone is like, okay, these two talk just nonsense. When is lunch? Okay. So this was 7 years ago, and now we have AI agents.
Yeah.
We almost we have self-driving cars, and AI agents are already having their own wallets and trading, and right. So and we got here. I thought this will be in 2030, but it's only 2025 and it's already happening. So, and I don't think banks will ever open a bank account for an AI agent or a car or any device. So, but who cares? Because crypto is there and it's native and digital.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, the speed with which everything is moving. It's like, how AI agents would eventually take over the world. Like the talk we had just before this.
Yeah.
So
what will you do what's left for us humans when AI can do everything that a human can do?
And we came to a conclusion of?
I think it was a mix of, I don't know. I said I will just go on the farm with donkeys and cockatoos and then read. Or like I want to live for 500 years because I have so many books that it will take that long. And then someone said, I just want to play. I don't know, create art, or I want to be with my kids, or So do human things like okay, I don't know. So everyone. Then someone said, so finally people will have time to meditate more and explore their inner side and or maybe we'll get this Ready Player One scenario where this VR and then the underground meat hotels where the bodies lie and your body is fed with through IV and you're in this virtual world where you are limitless. You can create whatever you want, however you want. You can be whoever you want, the discussion, by the way, it was the guy, I'm not going to say his name, but who organized the workshop. He narrowed the scope down because someone said, I don't think that will happen. And he said he doesn't. So that's not the scope of this discussion. But so let's assume it happens.
Yes.
And so when I said, I think everything everyone said is transitory. Like, yes, we would everyone losing their job, or first golden age, then everyone losing their jobs, and then massive deflation, everything is cheap and abundant, and then everything is free. Maybe we don't need money anymore. Then you're free to do whatever you want. Then, and then possibly in the end, we'll leave our biological bodies behind, or just physical bodies behind, and just merge our consciousness with AI and go on. And then the guy said, okay, so I want to also limit the discussion on the other side. So let's say we're not merging, but AI can do everything a human can. So that's the constraint, and I think it's really good he constrained it to that because because then it keeps
evolving. Going out of scope.
It makes the discussion more creative. So like constraints foster creativity. So my question to him was then, okay, so how long do you think that period will be? Because I don't know, if you go you get diagnosed by cancer, let's say, and they say you have 3 months, then you do completely different things than when you have 10 years, right? So it's so what's your time constraint? And he says, okay, let's just think of it as it goes on forever. I say, no merge, no merge. Okay.
Okay, yeah, that would be interesting. And then I also saw you are kind of interested to make network school or network states easily accessible for children as well, and then how families would be thriving in such network states or these pop-up cities. So what are your goals with aspect to that, and then how do you think the current education system can be improved with these ideologies?
Yeah, I think these could be 2 topics, but I think of them as one. I mean, we came here thinking, I was thinking, okay, I will be working on, I don't know, some crypto related project, or that's the deepest current knowledge I have, or background, or on experience and network and everything. And then we came here, and then it turned out that and our kids were here for the first week, and there were no other kids. And they got really bored really fast. And so said, okay, so our first project is to make network school more family friendly, because now it's really frontier, and I also understand why you need people who are young, don't have families, and have time to build, because you need to lay the groundwork and you need to build. But I also think, and I think the network school team would agree, I think just you also need people who are later phase in their life, who built already things and they failed, and who have this experience. And then if you have the combination of these two, then it goes way faster. So back then, if I had a mentor, I was 21, and if I had a mentor who's 45, who could just tell me, this is stupid, don't do this. No, I'm going to do this. By the way, why is it stupid? And then if I had a mentor who would tell me, okay, let me tell you a story when I did this and this happened, and maybe I would say, okay, yeah, this is stupid, and then it saves me 1 year of my life, let's say. So, and people in their later stage of life, they already have families and kids, and so and if you, by the way, if you look at just look at history, the first few waves of explorers, it wasn't families. It was explorers and entrepreneurs and mercenaries and builders, and then when there was something more established, when the families came, and for families, you need to have a few things. So one is education or school, but some people don't like the word school. Some people even like the word unschooling better, which I also like, but I still like the word learning, and I believe in lifelong learning. So I think the right way to see that is politically correct and everyone agrees on, how do kids spend their time? What do they spend their time with? And do they have a community? Because kids, they will be making friends with a few adults, but you need, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 kids to get friendships and relations forming, and for that you need families to be here, and so regarding education, I think that the way most current schools work is so out of date. You have and there are a lot of new schools and methodologies coming up, and but most of them don't really factor in AI that much. Only very few, and so right now, if I go to my kids' school, there is a poster on the one, like 5 levels of use of AI. It basically starts with like using AI is cheating. Like the best you can do is you can use it for research, but then mention you use it for research. But if your teacher says you cannot use AI, then you can't, and so it's mostly kind of considered cheating. And I remember when so my son came home one day and he said, today we got a quiz and it sounded different than the previous ones. It's not from a book, and it's definitely not in the teacher's tone.
Okay.
And so I asked the teacher, is this AI? And the teacher said, yeah, of course, it's ChatGPT. Why would I spend an hour writing a quiz when ChatGPT writes it in 20 seconds? Yeah. It's like, so you can use ChatGPT to augment yourself, but I cannot, and this is unfair. And he's absolutely right.
Yes.
And I think, and also, by the way, yes, kids have to learn literacy, and like have to learn how to write.
Yes.
But why can't we change? Why can't a 10-year-old, like there is a set of rubrics, like whichever system you're in. So if you're in the traditional schooling system, let's take IB for example, like a 10-year-old should be able to do this and this and this. And then why can't we say, yes, a 10-year-old should be able to do this and this and this, but also with the help of AI can also do this and this and this, which is for 18-year-olds. Like why don't we teach 10-year-olds to write like 18-year-olds, or write like, right? So and also with research and everything, and it's I think the role of the school should rather be around active learning and like human connections and soft skills and critical thinking, and so because that's another wrong direction it could go, right? So if you teach your kids to outsource all of their thinking to AI, then they become dumb.
Yes.
You want them to remain creative and be critical thinkers, but you also don't want them to lag behind and get behind others who use AI to augment themselves, and yeah. So I think there should be a radical shift in how we teach ourselves and our kids.
Yes.
And so if you look back in history, the very well-educated people came from mostly from the aristocratic circles. Why? Yeah. Because they had the money and the means to hire tutors for their kids. It was master-based
learning,
learning and one-on-one. But you can't have teacher for every kid. So now we're at mass education. So it's really easy if you're an aristocrat, you have the means to hire a tutor, and 99% of the population can't even count or write down, write or read, right? But now we need mass education, and you can have one-on-one tutoring. And now with AI, what changed is that now you can have mastery-based and one-on-one teaching. So AI can, so all the stuff that is, so if we boil it down to like basic stuff like numeracy literacy, STEM. I don't know. You can do a compact version of that in an hour or 2 hours a day, and then have an AI tutor always matching you the content
Yes.
to your skill level, and only let you go further if you master that. And then you can be a top performer because you own at your own pace, and AI can help with automating that. And in 5 or 10% of the cases,
Yeah.
if a student is completely lost or gets demotivated or just then you have to have a human educator in the loop who goes there and says, hey, okay, yeah, and help take that leap. And suddenly you go from one teacher in front of 30 students.
Yeah.
Like the old way is one teacher in front of looking at the class.
Yes.
Half of the class is bored and looking out of the window because they already understand. The other half is bored and looking out of the other window because they don't understand. And then there are 2 or 3 kids who are following the teacher because they are at that exact level. And also the teacher has a curriculum and a set timeline that they have to follow, right? So, and that's why you have good students, bad students, and and then you get all these labels of lazy or like, and it's not true. Like everyone can be proficient in everything. They just need this one-on-one training.
Got it.
And so if you have AI doing that work, it's still one teacher per 30 students and goes around, but everyone gets the one-on-one training and everyone learns at their own pace, but in the end they arrive at the same destination. And then you can have, and that's only 1 or 2 hours a day for the basic stuff.
Yes.
And then in the rest of the day you can do, it can be summer camp the whole year. Like if someone's interested in entrepreneurship, then do an entrepreneurship class in the afternoon. And the best the teacher's time is best used when the whole group is engaged.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when all of them have doubts or all of them are sharing some common topics in which all of them actively participate in a particular discussion, then
yeah, exactly. If like here we have, I don't know, we're building these robotic arms, for example, or like we're building stuff together, and everyone's engaged, and there's someone sharing their knowledge.
yes.
And everyone is engaged and super focused on, okay, so how do I do vibe marketing, or how do I do vibe coding? How do I build a robotic arm? And also the group teaches itself. So there will be someone who is better with hardware. Then there is someone who will be better. Will be better with software. Someone is better with 3D printing.
Yes.
And so you have this mix of people, and everyone is engaged and learning new things from each other.
Yes.
And that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if teacher is the right word. Probably more like a facilitator or mentor or coach.
Yeah.
So you can take the current teachers and instead of push for them to teach a necessary thing to kids, you can have them or maybe retrain them. Some teachers are natural coaches and mentors, some maybe not.
Yeah.
But you can have them work with groups where everyone is engaged and super focused, and that one is heavily personalized. So if you're into sports, then go sports in the afternoon. If you're and so you can teach life skills and social skills and do group work and I don't know, teach mindfulness or a mix of any of these. And so after learning the basic stuff like adding up numbers and subtracting and stuff like that, if someone is really interested into, I don't know, more math or finance, then in the afternoon they can do active learning and take part in a business project where they will learn about interest rates and cash flows and
actually
profit margins and stuff like that, and learn how to use spreadsheets, and also learn about regulations and
the speed with which they'll learn would be epic.
We will be way faster, and they will also enjoy it. If you teach entrepreneurship in a class, because it's part of the school's curriculum, and the students who are more interested in music will get really bored in the entrepreneurship class, and then the students who are interested more in sports will get bored with the finances stuff in the business class, and then the guy who's really into, drones, building drones, and also interested in selling them online and building a web shop for it, will get really bored in the music class. So why do you want all of them to take the same classes? Why not have the musician spend their entire afternoon with music, or the robotics guy spend their entire afternoon with robotics, and they will learn so much more because they are motivated, and then school will feel like
a fun place
to be, and like a summer camp.
Got it.
And I don't know if it's even, if you can call that a school. It's just what do kids do during the day? I think it's the same as as adults. So here we're doing the same, right?
Absolutely.
We're learning. So everyone have their own 1 or 2 hours thing. Like we need to make money, or have their own business or something. And then during the afternoons and the evenings, we do these workshops together and really enjoy. And it's so hard to, sometimes there are multiple events and which finger to bite, and I want to go both of these, or okay, you go to this one, you record it, and I go to this one, I record it, and then we share, and then next time we switch, it feels like school and summer camp, and also a very fun place. And I think kids should experience that and as well. So I'm really excited to create some sort of and maybe the tools are already out there. Some of the building blocks are already out there. So if we can get kids here and get them the basic tutoring in the morning, and then the network school already has all of these workshops in the afternoon, which most of them are compatible for ages maybe 10 or 12 and up. Most of them are already kid friendly. They could learn a lot, but there could also be sessions, and I'm pretty sure that many people will want to do workshops for kids. So go back to not start with zero knowledge proofs maybe, but basic coding or art, or there's we burn every day at the gym. If someone's into sports, they can spend their entire afternoon in the gym. And
absolutely. That would be the perfect place to be in which you are open to learn whatever you want, and and focus more on the things that you love, and then equally you have a chance to explore everything, but then eventually focus on something that you want to focus on. So
that's the first month is effect. You find your focus, and then you don't go to all the workshops. Okay, I do the robotics one because my son is really into this robotic arms and things, and he loves watching Mark Rober, and we have all of the things from Mark Rober, and it's really fun to build those. And but here we're building something from scratch, like 3D print and servos and programming it, and so I want to learn it so I can do it, do that with my son. So
Yeah, you are also kind of learning to like keep up with the current things which are going on, and then educate him better, something like that. So yeah.
And I don't know if I mean, I don't know if it's only a challenge for me or everyone else, but it's you learn something and then next week there's something completely new and 10 times better, and then just the amount of bookmarks I've say like, okay, watch this video, read this, like, okay, try this tool out. And so now so I remember when Manus came out, and then I bookmarked it to check it out. And then 2 weeks later, I go through my bookmarks and like, Manus, well, I already tried Open Manus and it works with a local model on my computer. So okay, this is already out. There's still a waitlist, I think, or maybe not. But why try the closed version if I have the open source version already? And so the book, like 80% of my bookmark, I went through them and like 80% is outdated, and but it's still fun, and I think it's important. It's not what you learn, but having the inner motivation to always learn new things and be up to date with what happens in the world, and be
curious to learn.
Be curious, and absolutely.
Yeah, I think we discussed the perfect, you can say, puzzles that we have to solve, and then how we are kind of solving it. So I think we can conclude on this, and I think my phone has just stopped the recording because I think this is the longest we have had. So but we have the voice, so we can use that. So I think it was.
I can use Hygen. By the way, I think Hygen is already outdated. There's I bookmarked it. I'm so bad with names, but I will send it over. But so there's a new tool that is way better than Hygen.
Yeah, so we'll use 1 hour of this clip to train the model, and then the next 30 minutes will be. Yeah. Perfect. Like we can finish this. Cool. Yeah, we can conclude on this, and then next one we'll have it online maybe, or in person when I'm back. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
this was great.
Yeah.